good afternoon. Welcome along to the slightly early time of 1 p.m. here on a Saturday, ahead of Leicester City's commencement of this season's FA Cup campaign. I'm Dan Bates. Next to me is David Nugent and Matt Elliott here on Matchday Live on Fox's Hub. Good afternoon to the both of you. I feel like it's later in the year as well. Usually it's the first weekend of January, isn't it? This time it's the second for the start of the FA Cup, but it's always a special weekend, Matt, isn't it? And good afternoon to you. And I've definitely seen you since the New Year. You said Happy New Year earlier. Thought I'd seen you, but we hadn't.
Seen you Boxing Day, that was it, mate.
So, yes, how are you both doing?
I lose track, Bates. It's all a bit of a blur these days, isn't it? But yeah, it's been sort of quite difficult keeping check on everything with the dates getting changed, etc., and unusual schedule. But I nearly got caught out today with a 2 o'clock kickoff, by the way, until I double checked last night. Lack of professionalism, I don't know. But
well, I had to text somebody to see what time we were in, and she said 1 o'clock. I was like, what?
Yeah, double check. So, but should know better than that by now, anyway. But yeah, FA Cup, it's sort of not been sprung on us, has it? But it hasn't been the main focus of attention, I think it's fair to say. And rightly so, because obviously the Premier League is the main concern. It is the main concern, but it doesn't mean that the FA Cup can't be sort of relished and embraced and enjoyed as much as it ever has been, really. So, but it's going to be a sort of an unusual atmosphere, though, isn't it? The weather outside is all freezing cold and misty, and slightly unusual sort of circumstances. And coming into the FA Cup, it's not the main priority. QPR are going to be bringing quite a few, so it's a test of the players' sort of character and personality to today as well, to go out there and perform as they should.
Yeah, no, FA Cup, people say it's a distraction, but I think for Leicester, with the league not going too well, it's a chance to gain a bit of confidence.
Yeah.
A team from the Championship coming, probably favourites to win it. We need to go out there, put performance in, gain some confidence and take that into the Premier League the following week.
That's not just going to happen, though, is
you
it?
know what I mean? You've got to go out there and
run
through it. Yeah,
they're going well.
Yeah.
They're going to come up here, they're going to have a go at it. So a lot of work to be done,
Yes, QPR on a very good run, as we've said, but we'll get to it in just a moment. Leicester have gone very, very strong today. We've got plenty to get through here on Matchday Live as we build up to kick-off ahead of this first FA Cup game of the season for the Foxes. We will be, of course, taking a look back at what happened a week ago against Aston Villa. We'll hear from Luke Thomas, a man with an assist in an FA Cup final victory. He's been talking about the competition. We'll look back at some classic strikes against QPR. A nice flick on involved in that goal for Jamie Vardy there from a certain someone sat next to me. And we'll also hear from Ruud van Nistelrooy speaking very positively, of course, about the FA Cup. He's got a decent history in it. He has a decent history in pretty much every competition that he played in, hasn't he, during his career. Let's, though, go straight to team news, because I think a lot of us were maybe expecting a number of changes from a Leicester point of view. Well, 3 have been made, but Ruud van Nistelrooy, it seems on paper, has gone quite possibly as strong as he pretty much could have done. The 3 changes are Vestergaard, Thomas and Ayew dropping out from that defeat to Villa, and in come Fass, Christensen and Facundo Buonanotte. So this is how they line up. It's Stolarczyk in goal, Christensen, Fass, Cody, Justin, Winks, Samare, Mavididi, El Kanous and Buonanotte. In behind the man on his birthday, Jamie Vardy, 38 years old today. He starts up front and captains the side, of course. On the bench, Everson, Okoli, Decordova-Reid, Chowdhury, Ayew, Daka, Skip, Thomas and Casey McAteer, who returns again on the bench. We know we've missed him, haven't we, in the last few weeks with the injury he's picked up over the last month or so. QPR, as Matt rightly said, have been in a good run of form. At one point in the Championship, a couple of months in, they were bottom of the table. They're certainly not anymore. They're in mid-table. A number of their supporters saying they want to push on towards the playoff places. They've gone fairly strong as well, though, for this game. Could be an interesting one here at King Power Stadium. They've got Walsh in goal, Parle, Edwards, Clark, Slater and Ashby across the back four. Varane, Field and Madsen in midfield. Saito, Colley and the scorer of one of their goals here at King Power Stadium as they beat Leicester in the league last season here, Elias Chair. Well, that is both the Leicester and the QPR teams then. I think pretty much Nuge, there's only one place to start, and that is with Leicester's team.
It's solid, isn't it? No, obviously, Rude's obviously wants a performance and a win. I think it's just to gain confidence.
Does it surprise you?
No, well, a little bit. No, I would have expected Bards to have a rest. Maybe the chance of A to start off or Decado Reed to come in. But he wants a cup run. It can gain confidence throughout the season, and just that one win can lead you on to better things. And I think that's what he's got in the back of his mind.
That's his starting team if it's a Premier League game, isn't it? I think for this week.
Well, there is a game Wednesday.
Exactly.
Which maybe is why people are surprised with how strong it is.
No, I think with that game, bearing that in mind, it's mildly surprising, shall we say. But I think obviously Van Nistelrooy thinking that, listen, we need a win as quick as we can, regardless of competition. If to make a few changes, not saying that gives the players any excuse, but obviously it decreases your chances if you're putting a weakened side, and another bit of negativity is not what's needed right now, I think. And so he's trying to be purposeful and positive, and hopefully the players can feed off that.
I guess it's just a case of confidence, is it, Nuge?
I think so. I think he wants to name the strongest 11 he's got, and maybe Vestergaard comes back in for Farce at the weekend. But other than that, I think that's the team that will play against on Wednesday against Palace as well. So, he's thinking he needs momentum with this team. He needs players to know each other's formations and positions on the pitch, get used to them even more, and it's shown by his selection. He wants to go out and win. End of.
Yeah, you look at the form, and there's no getting away from the fact they have lost a number of games in a row, Matt. Had that not been the case, and we know obviously there's caveats there. There's been really difficult fixtures in the last 5 or 6 for Leicester, but had there maybe been some other results in there, do you think today would have been different in terms of the team selection? Do you think he always wanted to try and get some confidence in the group?
Yeah, no, more than likely it would have been an easier selection issue for him. He could look at it with a little bit more freedom possibly. But as things, I think he wants to get some sort of regularity in the team as well, doesn't it? Because I suppose it's a bit of a catch-22, isn't it? Because you think, hang on a minute, we want to be as fresh as possible for the weekend. For the midweek. But I quite like the decision, to be honest. I think it's as if it's probably backed by data from the analysts, etc., in terms of the players' conditions at the moment. You never quite know until you get out there. But it's sort of saying to the players a little bit, I'm picking you. This is what I'm looking to be the regular first team, if you like, as close as possible. There you go. There's your opportunity. We've been making small steps in terms of performance. I know the results haven't been there, but he wants to sort of continue that progression a little bit. Here's your opportunity, boys. Go and, if you want to be a regular starter, you've got to perform regularly. And certainly that's going to be the case this week, because top Premier League players, or at the level that Leicester City should be at, you've got to have that durability, haven't you? You can't just sort of be good 1 in 4 and averaging a couple and have a poor game. You've got to be able to churn out performances, and I think he's looking to do that. It's a little bit of a test of character for the players, maybe.
I think in recent years as well, clubs get criticised for not playing their best 11 in cup games, just a chance to rest players. But I think that in a certain situation where you're on the league, if Leicester were 6, 7, 8 points clear of the relegation zone, there might have been a few more changes, 2 or 3. But
you got more scope, haven't you?
I think all the bigger teams now seem to rest their star players. But you see in recent years now, when they get criticised, people want to go on a cup run, and all these big teams are starting to play the best players now because they want to go on a cup run and win a cup.
Yeah.
If Leicester make 5, 6 changes today, who the players haven't been playing enough football, they could struggle and could get beat. But Rude's thinking, I need to win this game for confidence-wise.
Yeah, and especially the fact that you win this, hypothetically, you then get a favourable draw in the next round. Suddenly you're through to the 5th round. That's when you start to think, man, actually we can go on a run here. And that's what Leicester did about a number of seasons ago, was it? In 2021, of course, when we won the competition. I think it started out with Stoke, didn't it, in the 3rd round, and then the draw kept being relatively favourable, and that's it. Next thing you know, you're at Wembley for the semi-final, and then you're at Wembley for the final again, and you never know. And we might have been sat here in January 2021 thinking, oh, let's make some changes against Stoke. We've got a big push for the European places in the league that season. You go on and win it, so you never know.
Yeah, there's always a reason not to. I mean, unless you're slap bang solidly in mid-table, which is very rare. There's always an element of doubt, isn't there, whether it's looking below or above. It's slightly more favourable circumstances maybe when Leicester actually won the FA Cup for the first time in their history, and what a momentous, amazing occasion it was at the time. And so those moments need to be strived for, don't they? Definitely, but at the same time, I think you have to balance things out a little bit, don't you? But I think also that will come into the manager's thinking is, I think he'll feel that he's sort of asking for trouble for a little bit if he made 5-6 changes. I don't think he's got, at the moment, the confidence maybe in the fringe players to come in, collectively.
And this is the moment you've been talking about, Matt.
This is the moment, isn't it? Ironically, playing against Leicester last weekend.
Claimed the assist. Was that Luke Thomas's claim of an assist? Yeah.
Well, we'll hear from him in a moment. He has something to say about that when I suggested it. But
it was Jose Perez there when it suspected handball, but look at what a pass! But
it was such a shame because it was like COVID time as well, when obviously the stadium were full. Not all the Leicester fans were there to see it, but selective few were there to see that goal. And
I was there. Were you there?
I wasn't there, mate. No.
I was fortunate enough to be there. And bizarrely, I don't know whether I'm just like creating this in my own mind, but it was almost more special, right? Because of that COVID. There was it was the first time in Leicester's history, but then it was that release, and then that relief, and then that almost amazement, really, that Leicester had beaten Chelsea of all teams, a powerhouse to a degree, at Wembley, and managed to sort of hold off their attempts. But the scattering of the crowd, you could see the individuals. Rather than just en masse, it was a bit of a blur. But you could see the limbs, don't you? Yeah, I could see my two sons over the other side of the ground. Sorry, they were bouncing. I won't tell you what they were doing, but you could see the joy on individuals' faces, and it was almost sort of made it more personal. Obviously frustrating for the people who couldn't make it, unfortunately, because there were restrictions, but. It was special in its own way. It was a novel final, wasn't it? But yeah, amazing stuff. So you've got to have that element of sort of romance. I mean, you've got dreaming for not the impossible, but the unlikely, against the odds. And it's nice to have that in football still, because it can all be a little bit staid and formal, can't it? But then you've got to balance it out again, haven't you? Realism kicks in as well. So,
how many players are left in the squad now that are there? Have you won it? Lawrence, Hamza, Luke.
The younger contingent, isn't it?
Yeah. Don't be that many left. So obviously they'll know what it's like to win it as well.
Wilfred.
There's 4.
5.
We can have a little think / a look as we continue to talk about it. But again, like, I'm just thinking back to that game with Stoke.
Yeah, James Justin.
4 years ago now. Yeah,
James
Justin's fantastic strike. Yeah. You never know what might happen in this competition. That's the beauty of it.
You'd like to think that's why everyone up to from a certain level, certainly the top 2 divisions, maybe even, they enter it, sneaky chance of maybe getting to the final, perhaps not winning it, sort of thing. But strange things can happen. And the lower clubs, obviously,
that's what it's about.
To get as far as you can, and then money comes into it, of course, which is beneficial. But it's not the money that gets remembered, is it? It's the glory, isn't it?
The chairman remembers the money, doesn't he?
Well, yeah, but down the line it can well be remembered, because it can ignite clubs, can't it? Or certainly solidify them. But yeah, no, it's still got to have a cup competition. Still got to have a place in domestic football, and I know Premier League is the be all and end all, pretty much. But there's got to be a sort of a side fair, isn't there? A side show as well to capture the imagination. Hopefully the FA Cup will do that for Leicester this year.
Yes, in the starting 11 of the current players that day at Wembley, Wilfred Ndidi, Luke Thomas, Jamie Vardy. On the bench, there were 2 current players, 3 current players in fact. You've already named one of them, Hamza Chowdhury.
Hamza.
Luke Thomas.
He started, we've mentioned him.
Yeah.
Oh, on the bench that day?
On the bench that day.
Was James Justin injured or something?
James Justin was injured, yeah.
There's one more.
Yeah, 2 more technically.
2.
Should be getting that, shouldn't we?
Keeper.
Yeah.
Danny Ward.
Yeah. So
of
now
course,
you're
Danny,
missing one more.
Danny.
The current squad, and he was on the bench that day. Somewhat surprisingly, didn't get any minutes. That might be a little bit of a clue in terms
Well,
of
so it was only 3 years ago, wasn't it?
4th.
3.5,
No,
yeah.
no, Dak.
No.
Smart.
Defender.
Best,
Right back.
Right back.
This isn't making
Oh, Pereira.
This is-
Ricardo.
Oh,
Thank you.
Ricardo, sorry, yeah.
So that wasn't
Oh.
making great telly at the
No,
time.
we
right?
forgot.
But,
We forget about Ricardo.
How could we forget
Absence,
Ricardo?
yeah.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, in terms of the starters, then it was Ndidi, Vardy, and Luke Thomas. So let's hear from that man, then Luke Thomas, who is indeed on the bench today for the game with QPR. He wasn't though for that fantastic day at Wembley all those years ago, and we caught up with him in the box this week at Seagrave to preview this game with QPR and those FA Cup final memories. How often do you think about that day? Well, look, the FA Cup campaign starts this weekend. Are you looking forward to the game against QPR?
The FA Cup's always been a really exciting cup for us, obviously with the history we had winning it a few years ago. I think we've had a tough run of fixtures recently, obviously through Liverpool, Man City and Villa, so they're probably games that are always going to be hard. I think we've got a good mentality in the squad, everyone gets on really well. So hopefully we can get through the first round, hopefully go far in it. But I think in games we have shown spells where we've been good. And I think if we can show that throughout a whole 90 minutes, we can pick up results from that. When a new manager comes in, it's always a tough period, them first few weeks, getting to know what he wants us to do. And I think now we're getting grips with that, and hopefully that will show in games and the results will come.
You mentioned the FA Cup in the recent history. How often do you think about that day?
Probably not that often. You don't get time in football really. It's week in, week out. You have a game every few days, so I don't think that really comes to your mind maybe until the summer's come. And then you look back at how your season's gone and how your career's going as you develop through seasons on seasons. So before you know it, it's probably over. So at times you do look back at it and think, yeah, that's a proud moment. So yeah, it was definitely a special day.
No one can take away from the fact that Luke Thomas has an assist for an FA Cup final winning goal.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd class it as that. We'd be already putting it into the top bin from 30 yards, but you can always take it. And I suppose it's a good thing to have. It's obviously a special competition for us. I think that year we were full of confidence and we went into each game and we knew we could beat anyone that came in our way. And on that day at Wembley, it went our way and we got the result. So hopefully we can kick on and do that again this year.
There's Luke Thomas there speaking about this game with QPR, and of course that day at Wembley, he himself saying, not sure he can claim it as an assist, but it's in the history
Yeah,
books, isn't
it
it?
is. But if someone pings it in from 30 yards, you don't expect them to shoot from there, do you? But
I think Peter Crouch did one this week because it was like a
See
Gareth
the
Bale
wave from the
goal.
halfway line.
Yeah,
against Inter Milan.
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't have happened without the pass.
No,
Yeah,
well,
Luke Thomas can say
true.
the same thing.
I mean, you get people making tackles, don't they? And ricochets.
Claim it.
Yeah, going down officially as
Get it on the stats.
assists. But, yeah.
Well, speaking of assists, we'll see one of yours later on.
Yeah.
If you claim an assist,
Route one.
you might as well claim them, haven't you? But yeah, we've spoken obviously about that day at Wembley. More than on this game today, Matt, against a QPR side, as we mentioned, in good form.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they might change their minds now once they've seen Leicester's team, but a lot of people would tip in this to be maybe the upset of the weekend.
Yeah, may possibly be a change of thinking, I'd say. That would be part of Ruud van Nistelrooy's thinking as well. He'll want to ensure as best he can that Leicester get a positive result, and he'll also be aware of QPR of late. I think I had a little. You'll be surprised.
One
to hear,
defeat in 11.
11. Oh, you've nicked it off me.
Very
rarely I've got a
I didn't want you to
stat.
have the glory.
No, but I researched that myself and everything.
I was
but
saying, he tapped it in. Just a little
yeah,
tap
I
in there,
know,
isn't
he
it?
killed me, didn't he? But
Did you get that off you?
But what? Yeah. Phone him up. Yeah. Well, that speaks for itself, doesn't it? Really, because they were getting a couple of Tonkins, weren't they, earlier on in the season? But now that will obviously build confidence. They'll be looking forward to this. They, going back to probably ourselves, that played in, played for championship teams, going up to a Premier League team that's struggling. You're licking your lips a little bit. You think, what an occasion! Even you probably obviously fancy yourself more at home, but you fancy you're relishing the prospect of going upsetting the apple cart and going and doing it on the home turf of the opposition. Things are a little bit fragile at the moment, so it is a test. It is a test for Leicester today. That character, that resolve. That, in fairness, not all the time, but they've shown a reasonable amount of that. Really, they've just had sort of a lot of it's been individual shortcomings. I think in moments rather than collective downfall. Some people might disagree, but I think more often than not that's quite fair to say. So I don't want to tempt fate, but I don't see Leicester sort of folding under the pressure of QPR coming here and putting up stiff resilience. But Leicester want more than that, don't they? They want more than just a scrape over the line. They want to start playing and building confidence in their performances and in turn results.
Well, this could be the start of what comes after this game. The performance is vital.
That's what he's looking for.
He wants that performance to build on to the next game. And I know QPR are coming here. This is what the FA Cup's about. The smaller teams or championship teams want to come and play against the Premier League team, and they got their chance. They'll be well up for this game. So Leicester can't just turn up and roll over and think they're going to win the game. It's not going to be like that. FA Cup. This is what it's about. The magic of the FA Cup. People may think this might be a turnover for QPR. It's a chance for them to cause an upset.
It's not a time to take
exactly,
a breather, is it?
No.
I think it's 5,000 QPR fans coming up as well.
Yeah.
And the fans want to get into the next round. You want to be in that half of the next round.
The thing is that they've got to be ready for it. I'm sure they will be. I'm sure the manager is stressing that point. He's making that point in his team selection. So the message should be clear to the players anyway. But just reinforce that, because otherwise, if you go in there a little bit lackadaisical, a little bit sloppy, and all of a sudden that 5,000 away supporters, you start looking at them and you start thinking, hang on a minute, maybe it's not our day. These lot mean business, and then it's a struggle, and you don't want that.
You have to go and show the better team and the better players on the pitch. Because QPR are not going to lay down. They've got to show them their Premier League players to get through to the next round. Yeah,
it's a QPR team that won here last season, of course.
There you go. That's all.
In the Championship.
Yeah, well, just make that point as well. Message should get through, shouldn't it? And also, news says there, but show them you're supposedly the class above, which I think, in fairness, maybe Leicester are to many degrees, but you've got to maintain that as well. You can't start well and go, oh, look at us, look how good we can be, and then tail off, because QPR will hang in there. They will hang in. It's got to be a complete performance as best as possible.
It is very foggy. Are we saying foggy? Do we think misty at King Power Stadium today? Those of you that are tuning in from Leicestershire or the Midlands, you've probably got it out of your window as well. There we go. We can see it there as well. Fast comes out for his warm-up. It's not quite Anfield levels on Boxing Day, is it? But it's visibility isn't fantastic. These are the players now coming out for their warm-ups. Obviously, it is as cold here as it is pretty much everywhere else
it's warm in here,
in the country. Nice and warm here in the studio. We'll be going out and braving it, though, of course, for the 90 minutes. Stefan Mavididi there wrapped up, Matt. Obviously scored, didn't he, against Villa last time out. That was in the Premier League, of course. He strikes you maybe as a type of player that's quite a confidence type player. He scores, he'll then really fancy himself to score again today and go on a bit of a run.
Yeah, possibly. You see that in him sometimes, don't you? I think he's finding it quite difficult to build that genuine confidence that he had most of last season. Obviously, there's a rising standard of opposition, but he's been playing in fits and starts a little bit, hasn't he? When he comes on, he looks dangerous. He looks like he has the potential, well, we know he does, to go past fullbacks. But doing that from the off and for the duration of the game is proving a little bit more difficult, isn't it?
I think Steffi, he needs to receive the ball in the final third.
Yeah.
I think when he gets it from deep, it's quite hard for him to get up the pitch and do his stuff. If he gets it fresh in the final third, that's when you see the best of him, I think.
Yeah.
Step overs, getting the players.
Instinctive goals like this one as well.
Yeah, just being in the box, being your back post around at the right times. He's got it in him. We've seen it in the Championship last season. When he runs at players, he just needs to get that back. Just a bit of a scrappy goal, but he gets it in, and then again, just being in the box, back post.
Yeah, he's always good for a goal, isn't he? Like, not in always sort of typical wide player fashion, if you like. He'll get himself involved in the mix. But no, I don't know. But you don't want to be. I know what you're saying. Further up the pitch when he's on the move and it's a slick sort of semi-counter situation, if you like. But as most wingers are, but just needs to sort of perhaps back himself a bit, because I mean, he's got all dancing feet, hasn't he? Sometimes he doesn't know which way he's going, so how's the fullback meant to know? But if he could perhaps on the move at pace, will give himself a better chance, and then in turn develop his confidence. But no, but you have to sort of earn yourself that genuine confidence and belief, and go and prove yourself out there. But I think sometimes maybe you could take the game to the fullback a little bit more. Don't always. They are good, good defenders you're coming up against, but he's a good player as well. So they'll go and test them to the max, and maybe today might be a chance for him to thrive. Yeah,
again, we saw with the amount of goals and assists he got in the Championship last season. And you were at Villa Park, weren't you, last week? I don't know if you heard much of the conversation. We had Mark Albrighton on with Jerry Taggart, and Mark was talking a lot about being a winger and wanting to see Steffi in that area at the back post, which was it. Bilal put a brilliant ball in against Man City. He wasn't quite there. That ball comes in against Villa. He was there at the back post to tap it in. So maybe we will see some more goals if that's the sort of thing that'll add to his game.
Some of it, I suppose, is down to sort of, well, one, recognition of situations, but also that desire and inclination to get there, as a centre forward would, sort of more naturally maybe. But you can pick yourself up some many opportunities, can't you, if you're just sort of recognising situations and not afterwards thinking, maybe I should have been there, and you get a rollicking from the touchlines of what might have been. But and then the rest of your game flows as well, doesn't it? Because I don't know, because it's been a bit of a struggle for Leicester so far. Not all the players are maybe maximising their potential in an attacking sense because of that, not lack of belief, but not full confidence.
Hence, maybe why we've seen today's team. Because if Leicester then go and score 2, 3, fingers crossed, 4, 5, then that confidence can hopefully come scoring.
In an ideal scenario.
Into the team, exactly right. Speaking of goals then against the Hoops, let's take a look back at some classic goals scored against today's opposition.
Worthington. Waters. Oh yes! Oh yes for the youngster! He'll remember that all his life. What a way to start your career in big-time football!
Brilliant effort there. Phil G, the scorer. It came from that flick on there. Beautifully played through. And he buries this shot low and hard into the far corner of the net.
Here's Wellens. Howard with a flick and Andy King. Yes! 5 minutes played and tension eased. Andy King with his 8th goal of the season. Just the start they needed. It's a very good finish. What's he got available? Waghorn to his right. Running at the defender. Waghorn! Oh, what a goal! It's possibly the goal of the season. And it gives Leicester a 3-0 lead.
Here's Vardy, 1-0. Leicester spring to life, and Jamie Vardy's there to give them the lead at Loftus Road. Leicester was still plenty forward here. Needs a decent cross though. Cambiasso to Albrighton into Kulka. Now Schlupp. Oh, what a hit! Fabulous goal. Jeff Schlupp from out of nothing puts Leicester level. Here come Leicester again. It's in with Albrighton, and it's 2-0 now. It's his second goal for Leicester. It's their second of the day. Gregor Cox again, out as far as Cambiasso, he's urged to shoot! Oh, that is fabulous! Takes a bow, and why not? The player of the season, with arguably the goal of the game. Leicester City are running riot. They lead by 4 goals to 0.
Great goals there in our classic goals against QPR.
Not happy. Not happy.
Did you nick one?
Nick one, but it's not been put in.
Another tap in, that's why.
No, it's good. Little 1-2 round the corner, bottom corner.
Well, because we knew you were on and because we knew you'd win
Oh,
if we
they
didn't
say
put it
you
on,
do.
Say the best till last.
then we have got it.
Have we got to suffer this?
I even
We have.
started the move.
We
Come
have.
on then.
We saw a nice
Let's get it
assist
over
for you
with.
there
Yeah.
for Jamie Vardy,
God,
but
put it
then
on then.
your goal we can take a look at as well. So what did you say it was? A little 1-2, was it?
Little 1-2 round the corner with Drinky, was it? Or Riyadh is one of them.
Okay, well, we'll load it up in a minute. We're just actually looking on the other screen at the warm-ups.
Oh,
it
cards.
is extremely
Don't drag this
misty and
out,
foggy
Baxi.
now.
Don't drag this out. We've had to see enough of him already. A nice little touch on, by the way.
Good little flick
Good
on
leap,
it,
wasn't it? Yeah, I'll give you that.
Sometimes you've got to do that for your partner.
And that was also the squirrel game.
That was the
as
squirrel
well.
game, eh? Chasing the squirrel off the pitch.
Oh, yeah.
Is that what you're most known for now?
Yeah, literally, yeah. Like, the guys, that squirrel off the pitch. Yeah, that's me. But it was like 10 minutes to go, 1-0 up.
A road runner chasing the squirrel.
Get off.
Beep, beep.
Want to get home. Stuck in London.
Well, we'll try and get those clips up for you in just a moment. Maybe,
Come on,
maybe
Elliot.
we
Jesus
don't
Christ.
But yeah, good memories against QPR, particularly in that Great Escape season as well. 2-2 away, wasn't it? Here we go. Here's the squirrel.
Oh, I don't want the squirrel. I want the goal. Look at that. Get off the
Nerve.
pitch. It's sharp, innit? Comes back on as well.
I saw you like that in Bradgate Park not long ago.
Yeah, trying to chase my dog.
Yeah, we'll get your goal up as well, Luge, in
back
just
on.
a moment as well. Is that has it come back on? Is it?
He's a character, isn't he? Eh?
Speaking of characters, Matt, we've had a comment on our YouTube channel concerning yourself.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
It
Jesus.
just says Matt Elliott looks like he hasn't slept for 2 years, which is very pleasing.
Not quite that long.
2.5.
I didn't sleep that well last night, to be fair.
Why is that?
Yeah. Just tossing and
Just
turning.
too
mate, that was
excited
it.
for
Yeah, looking
FA
forward to the game. That was
round
it. Yeah.
3.
FA Cup fever.
Yeah, we'll speak to Jerry in just a moment. But in terms of QPR, though, we know, as we've spoken about already, they'll come and they'll come strong. But there's always been a weird bit of needle between Leicester and QPR, whether it was that Great Escape season or the year before when they obviously came up from the Championship. There's always been a little bit of that. And you were probably there for that in those years when each game against QPR seemed to mean an awful lot.
Well, they had the squad with the players that needed the. There's the goal. Look, little 1-2 round.
Here we
corner.
go.
Look at the pace. Look at the pace.
So you?
Yeah, that's me, that mate. What a finish.
Who was that defender?
That was.
They look like me.
Naderman. Yeah, I was quite. Who is it?
After I hadn't slept for a couple of years.
It's Benoit Esuakoto, isn't it? Is that him? Got sent off that game, didn't he?
Oh, with the hair.
Yeah, got the finish though. Bottom. Oh, too close to the keeper.
Oh, look, no
Jeez,
chance.
Elliot. Get away from me. Big Naden coming over. Can't keep up.
Yeah,
That was
good
your
finish,
forte, that, wasn't it, Luge?
I don't think it wasn't quite good enough to go in the classic goals
It
compilation,
was.
though, Matt, was it?
It's just movement, innit?
It's not bad, though. Not bad of its own sort. I hate to admit it, but fair dues.
Bright
Fair
yellow
dues,
boots
Luge.
as well. Oh.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a good needle against QPR back in those days.
They were like rivals. You know, they were always thereabouts in the Championship, trying to get promoted with ourselves. You know, we pipped them to the title that year. I think Burnley came second, they came third, got up in the playoffs, didn't they? And obviously in the Premier League, they were expected to stay up as well, but obviously we were bottom at Christmas and we managed to survive. You know, so there's that little bit of needle between us, but I always thought like we got the better of them every time we played against them. You know, they had a lot of big name players who play in the Premier League, but we just had a bit too much fun the other day with our team spirit and endeavour.
That was classic Nugent and Vardy there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's just, and that's just like typical long ball football. That's Casper's goal kick, that little flick onto Vards, and Harden. It's pretty similar to my finish, isn't it? Harden low past the keeper.
Yeah,
Mine's probably a little bit closer, but he learned it off me, didn't he?
Right, let's check in with Jerry Taggart, who's on co-commentary. That's enough of David Nugent for now, I think, Matt, isn't it?
Any more?
Certainly.
Jerry Taggart, good afternoon to you. I hope you're wrapped up very warm because it's a very cold day. I feel like what we're calling it, mist, fog, whatever, on the pitch is slowly dissipating somewhat. What's the view like from where you are? We're seeing shots of Facundo Buenanotte as he's warming up. It looks like it's a little better than it was maybe 10 minutes ago.
Oh, sorry, Dan. I've just fallen asleep there listening to Dave Nugent. I've just woke myself up. The fog from this height isn't great, but especially trying to look over onto the far side of the pitch to pick out players, individuals, at the minute could be a bit of a struggle. But I'm led to believe that down at pitch level, then everything is fine in regards to, the referee and the players being able to make out their own players and what have you. So yeah, but definitely from my point of view, it may be a bit of a struggle on the far side to pick individuals out.
Yeah, how does this compare to Anfield on Boxing Day?
This is worse. There's no doubt about it. This is worse than it was at Anfield. There's no doubt about that. But I still don't think it's that bad in regards to
when you pitch level.
Yeah, in regards to like the game being under any threat or something like that. But it's definitely worse than it was at Anfield. That is for sure.
In terms of the lineup today, Jerry, that's probably a lot of the headline team news, if you like, isn't it? From a Leicester point of view, this man on the screen now, Jamie Vardy, captains Leicester. A lot of people maybe were expecting to see him rested. It isn't the case today. What are your thoughts on the team?
Yeah, I think there's two ways you play this, Dan. It's as simple as that. Two massive home games coming up after this game. Leicester 5 on the bounce. Lost, desperate for some points in the Premier League. So could they be forgiven of putting out, a slightly weakened team? Yeah, and then on the flip side, they're desperate for a win. They need a win from somewhere. It's the FA Cup, and I'm sure Ruud van Nistelrooy would like to go far in this competition. So that is why you see the team, because I think priority is trying to get a win from somewhere to give the players another boost of confidence going into these two massive home games, midweek and next weekend. So I think it's a good call.
Gerald, Matthew.
Hello, Matt.
All right, mate.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no. Well, to be fair, I was going to ask you a question along the similar lines. Really, you pretty much answered what I was going to ask you there. But you see this as a sort of, without taking anything for granted. Of course, it's going to be a difficult proposition, but see this as an opportunity to go and to build on at least the performances that we've seen over the last 2-3 games or so. Yeah,
I think so. I mean, the performance today is going to be almost as important as the result. If they put in a good performance and get beat, will that be acceptable? I don't know, but the performance for me the performances between now and the end of the season are absolutely vital, Matt. And it starts here today. We can't afford to take QPR lightly. Yes, they're a championship side. They've had a bit of a struggle in the recent past, but their recent form is really good in the championship. So they can't afford, and they've got a couple of dangerous players as well. We all know about Elias Chur, who's one of them, little live wire. So they can't afford to take a team like QPR lightly, even though they're in the league below. So for me, it always starts with a performance, and then hopefully things will improve from there, i.e. regards and scoring goals and eventually getting the result and a really much needed confidence boost. As I said, moving on to two unbelievably and in my opinion, season-defining games coming up.
Do you think, Jerry, that on the back of that, with his selection, that managers almost sort of making a statement to the players saying, listen, you're my starting setup, really, pretty much. I know there's going to be variances along the way, but
Yeah.
but he's almost saying, listen, the opportunity's there for you. You're my first pick 11, certainly from what's available. I'm looking for you to do the business today and going into those two massively important games coming up this week.
Yeah, as I say, you know, you're looking at the bench, and you know, you could have said there was a case for, say, a Coley starting, Ayew, Daka, Skip, Thomas McAteer. Okay, maybe not McAteer because he's just come back from injury. Deckard Reid, you know, starting today and getting a few of the big guns on the bench and flipping it on its head. But this is a really important game. It's obviously not as important at this stage of the season as the two games coming up, Matt. But Leicester need a win from somewhere, and I think that's probably the most important aspect of this game today, or this week, starting today, is we need to get a win from somewhere moving into these two games. So he's gone with possibly, or probably the strongest 11 he has to pick from today.
Thank you very much, Jerry. We'll hear from you again during the game or just before kick-off on co-commentary alongside Niall McCorn today. Before we hear from Ruud van Nistelrooy news, just a quick point on what both Matt and Jerry were talking about there in confidence. And as someone who's never played the game anywhere near the level, obviously, that you guys did, how big is that? How big is confidence? And if Leicester can win in this group, that we assume it will be a very similar team that plays on Wednesday against Palace, if they can win today and win well, how massive is that as confidence?
It's huge. You know, you've seen what happens when you string a few wins together. Everyone starts believing in themselves a bit more. You see a lot more passes going forward rather than giving to someone else to make a mistake because you're scared to make it yourself. All that comes into the situation of the game, and even if it's just a scrappy win, it's a win, and you can build. You build confidence from anything, even if it's just like a scrappy if it hits you and goes in off a striker. You build confidence because you've scored a goal. That's your job. You score the goal. If a winger crosses it and he gets in the end of it, you think, oh, that's an assist for the winger. It all comes into one. And if the team as a whole can play together in this cup competition and get a win, you build it by going into the next game, into the Premier League, which is against Crystal Palace. So it's just vital that we just get any sort of win to build the confidence, because once everyone's confident playing on the football pitch, you'll see more players doing the stuff that they're more natural doing, rather than tinkering a bit, thinking, oh, I don't want to really pass that ball because I might give it away. But you'll see more balls coming forward when you've got the confidence.
It's such a changeable thing as well. They talk about the fragility of confidence as well. It can be lost quite quickly depending on the general belief of the squad, of the group, but it can also be gained pretty quickly as well. As you've seen with QPR. QPR, you know, in dire straits at the start of the campaign.
Bottom of the league.
Yeah, and they've turned their fortunes around and gone on this excellent run. And you know, who's to say that Leicester aren't capable? I know it's a different proposition, but in their own terms, doing something similar, and today could be the catalyst. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. Leicester's manager, Ruud van Nistelrooy, had an illustrious playing career, didn't he? He won every single cup and trophy available to him in England domestically, including, obviously, the FA Cup. And during his pre-match press conference this week, he was asked how he feels about England's oldest club competition.
Yeah, I love the competition. I love the competition. It's the oldest cup tournament in the world, and it's the famous one as well. So it's also important to represent that and enjoy these games. So I'm looking forward to it.
Is this a game where you might be able to utilise some of the younger players in the squad? I know there's a lot of talk around youngsters like Jeremy Monga, and people want to see more of Will Alves. Will they be part of your plans this weekend?
Yeah, we'll address the squad obviously over the coming days. It's important to keep our development going. We wanna break the current run of defeats. That's important. We want to do well. We want to play well. We want to gain confidence. So it's all, you know, parts where I'm thinking at and looking at, and then make decisions on squad and playing time.
you've talked about the FA Cup being special. As a player, what did it mean to you? Did you get imbued with that sense of just how important it is for a club to have a really good FA Cup run?
I'm a proud winner of the FA Cup as a player, and was able to play 2 finals in this great tournament, and I know how much it meant to me to be able to win it with the team, with the club, and with United at the time, and the games you play. You know, you're playing very tough games on its own. Okay, now it's not with a draw. There's not a replay anymore. There's straight into penalties, but it's a fantastic tournament to be part in.
Is the priority the Premier League, or will you put everything into the FA Cup as much as you possibly can as a team and as a club?
Yeah, it's important to take this very serious, to plan the game. As I said before, every game that we approach, we're planning to win. We're looking also into the condensed schedule, what is important, and resting players or players with little injuries. That won't change. We'll keep doing that. But of course, we have to say that the Premier League games at the moment for this club are vital.
And just one question about the QPR. I mean, playing them 2 months ago when they were having a really bad time and struggling, they're a different side now, aren't they?
Yeah, at the moment of the draw, they were second or third bottom of the championship. The current form has been very, very good. Collected a lot of points with good performances, gained a lot of confidence. For us, it's a great example of how things can turn around when you keep working and keep doing what you believe in. And that's why we're aware of that we're going to face a confident side that is, of course, very motivated to do well in this tournament.
That was Ruud van Nistelrooy there, FA Cup winner, of course, in his time with Manchester United, speaking ahead of this game. Let's get a quick recap of today's team news for both sides. Ruud van Nistelrooy himself going very strong with Leicester City's lineup for this game. In fact, really, when you think back to when he was at Manchester United, he played a strong team in the Cup against Leicester, of course, didn't he, when he was interim manager. There, he clearly values and respects, as we heard from it himself there, all of the Cup competitions here in England. This is the Leicester team. Then it's Stolarczyk, Christensen, Fast, Cody and Justin, Winks and Samare, with Mavididi, El Khanous and Buonanotte in behind Jamie Vardy. And then from a QPR point of view, as Matt rightly said, 1 defeat in their last 11. They've got Walsh and goal, Parle, Edwards, Clark, Slater and Ashby, Varane, Field and Madsen, with Chair and Saito in behind Colin. We're going to hand over to our commentary team fairly soon. The fog and the mist looks like it's dissipated somewhat, so there's absolutely no worries about the game itself. The supporters are in, a lot of QPR fans here, as we said, quite a few Leicester fans as well, braving the elements for this one as well, which hopefully there's an awfully long way to go, considering we're at the start of January, the FA Cup finals in May, Nuge. But as someone who's won the competition before, you know that it's got to start somewhere, doesn't it?
Exactly, yeah. It has to start in the third round. You know, you obviously get to buy the 30 rounds being a Premier League team, so it's up to you now to go out on the pitch and get into the next round. That's all that matters. You know, do it with a performance, the confidence, show it on the pitch, and get in the next round, and end of you in the hat.
I can't believe we've spoken about Nude so much and we didn't even mention about FA Cup winning achievements.
No, Ruud.
Because he started on the bench, I think.
I've won it, you know.
Oh, yeah,
Come on, make an impact, all you can do.
Medal's a medal, mate,
Exactly,
isn't it?
yeah.
Fair play to you.
Alan Shearer hasn't got an FA Cup
I
win.
don't know this being nice to Nuge afternoon so far. Things are going to have to change, mate.
Something will do, yeah. I'm sure during the game when we're off air, you'll have a few things to say.
Because I'm such a likeable person, that's all. Everyone likes me.
Do you have your medals and stuff up at home?
I do, all at home. Got the
on
programme.
the mantelpiece, or
on
are
the
they in?
No,
Yeah.
it's just in my little games room kind of thing.
Yeah.
Up on the side. Got the medal, got the little trophy that you open. Programme, got
Hiding from the kids.
limited edition book with all the pictures in it.
Oh, that's enough.
Hands on
That's
the
enough.
Have you sold yours? Have you got
Move
yours
on,
at home?
Batesy.
Have you sold it?
Not yet.
Yeah.
No, mine are just scattered around, whatever. Well, make it sound like I've got loads.
I only got it back a couple of years
I
ago.
only got the one medal,
My dad
probably.
used to have it in his pocket the whole time. He used to go to the pub with it in shoulders, mate.
Did he?
All the time, yeah. I only got it back 2 years ago.
Yeah.
All them years ago. Yeah.
Nice. Right, final word can go on the actual game itself then today, Matt, as we've spoken a lot about today. The strength of Leicester's team means Ruud van Nistelrooy wants some confidence in this team.
Yeah, and I think, in fairness, in his own way, he's maybe showing his confidence in the players there, or he's backing them. He's like, come on then, show me I'm right, I think, and there's an element of that. I'm putting faith in you. We're in a tough position. Obviously, things haven't quite gone to plan totally, but there's been like small signs of improvement and progression despite the results, and now they need to start changing performances into results a little bit. But yeah, he's trying to back them as best he can, isn't he? And with what he's got at his disposal, and I don't think he's far off the mark there, really. And I don't think Leicester are that far off the mark either. So today is hopefully the beginning of some sort of mini revival.
Yes, absolutely. It's a huge week coming up for the Foxes, isn't it? With those two massive Premier League games, one on Wednesday and then one again at the weekend. But it all starts today in the third round of the FA Cup. Coming up next, we have full commentary live and available for you on Foxes Hub. Niall McCorn is alongside Jerry Taggart as the Foxes get their FA Cup journey underway.